deja vu. Could you be the dream that I once knew? Is it you? Deja vu. That's a song by Dionne Warwick. That's an old song, but for some reason, songs stick in your head. Now, the reason why I mentioned Deja Vu is this is actually my third Alfa Romeo 8C in 1/64 scale. I've reviewed two others if you want to search my channel, but those other ones don't have the wheels that I envisioned this car to have. I envisioned this car to have these 5-spoke hole, like revolver wheels, and so this Kyosho has it. What's interesting is I did not know Kyosho made a fourth Alfa Romeo collection. This didn't have a box, so unfortunately I don't know what else is in this collection, and I was too lazy to search it out. If I had to guess, this has 450 horsepower coming from 4.7 liters. It's a V8 engine, and that's all there is. I talked about the cars in the other reviews, and I skipped red this time around because I already have two red ones, and we're going with this metallic silver or gray. No box, but it was screwed to this base, and it came in this blister pack. So let's see how Kyosho did in their fourth collection of Alphas. So this is probably the last collection of Alphas they've done. Those wheels are kind of close. They're not as deep, I don't think. They're not as deeply recessed as the middles of these wheels. But the black graphic matches up. The proportions so far seem pretty good. Let's try the side view for a better proportion view. Yeah, alright. And then here's a rear view. Nice clear taillights, 4 exhaust tips. Alright, all in all, so far I'm liking what I see. So it's a metallic and the flakes aren't too large, so that's nice. The panel gaps aren't excessively wide either. There's a texture in here in the little orange reflector or side blinker, I'm not sure. The wheels have lug nut details and they're passing air between those things. No brakes though on Kyosho blister packs. And it has separate side mirrors, I think. I don't know, maybe those are casted in. Actually, I think those are cast metal, because on the far side you can see the base of it. It is the same body color, silver, but then you can see there's black paint on it. So, I gotta say, that's very impressive. Look how do you cast this? How do you cast this thing in a mold on such a tiny stock and not have this thing like droop off or fall off when it gets pulled out of the mold? That's why usually mirrors are separate pieces. But, well, I gotta say, advancements in die-cast cars. Okay, well, so going to the front here, we got some faint texturing here in the grills. Very nice. Plastic, you can hear that plastic. It's not metal. A little silver around the grill there. And the Alpha badge is, let's see how good that is. It's not bad. It's not the greatest, but at least you can see the cross. But that's right side, that's supposed to be a snake. I don't know why, it's just a gold blob. The snake is supposed to be green also, so that's a little bit odd. The fog lights are painted silver. You can see the headlights here, nice. There's a clear lens and then literally 3 silver lights behind it. And also the lens has black printing for the little, I'm gonna guess like fluid comes out here maybe or something. I see it on the photograph. I don't know what it really does though. Alright, so unfortunately I kind of feel like, I thought that was a paint rash, but it feels perfectly smooth. This side here, no different, but now I'm noticing there's a tiny depression for the key and a really tiny depression for your finger to pull that thing. And then there's a shamrock here printed on. That's for good luck apparently. Going to the back, decent exhaust tips. There's depth to the middle, and yet the ring is silver. They printed on a reflector and a backup light. And then yeah, those are really thick tail lights, which are good. And the badge on the back of this one, again, it's weird. Why is it gold on the right side? But anyways, the third brake light is good. And a blank area for the license plate. Texture in the bottom grille looks nice. Still, no date. It would be nice if they put a date on there. Tire treads look pretty nice. There's some friction going on. Doesn't want to roll very well. But it's nice that it's screwed together, so you can customize it, swap out some wheels or something, maybe repaint the interior, because the interior is just plain black in the color, but it is nicely molded as far as the details go. But yeah. Well, in today's case, you know, I'm looking at that middle picture I pulled up, and it just has black seats, so I guess that's accurate. But the rear view photo does have red seats. Yeah, these are expensive cars in real life, so I'd imagine a lot of people opt for some multiple color interiors. But for a Kyosho blister, not so necessary. So there's the fuel filler, and I guess the trunk. Alright, well, I guess this is a perfect model, right? I don't see anything really wrong with it, so that's nice. The riding stance is actually quite low as well. I mean, maybe too low. The front tire is scraping. That might be why it doesn't want to roll. The rear, that actually looks more accurate to the photograph. But I'd rather have a lowered car than a high riding car. Well, it's time to look at some other models now. In particular, the other ones I talked about earlier. So here's a coupe, and it's done by Kyosho. It says it's the 8C Competition. And this last one is the Minichamps 8C Competition. It says 2008 for the car model. Let's just compare these Kyoshos first. I was just wondering about the tire width. You can see the tires on the more modern Kyosho have wider tires in the rear than the front, whereas this older one has all equal sized tires and is press fit together. So modding that one's going to be tough. But I will say this one has the chrome trim shown on the taillights, but the taillights are actually painted red on top of that chrome plastic. I actually think this looks more accurate to the rear photograph, even though they're not transparent plastic. They look like the photograph. And this badge, I think, is a little bit nicer, but no silver paint on the exhaust tips. And then I just don't like these wheels. These are accurate to a certain Alfa, but they're just not what I envision. And also, there's no texture here, but a really faintly printed pattern, so it's not as accurate, I think, as the updated one. Alright, but the real one is we're going to require the tree of comparison for the Minichamps and the Kyosho. Sorry, let's get that, turn this off, making a weird humming noise. And, so the Kyosho is riding very high. The stance is exceptionally high. I don't know which is more accurate. I would assume it's the Minichamps one. But, okay. The Minichamps has these inserted plastic chrome trims. This one's just painted silver. This is probably more accurate. It's not as thick as this on the real car. Both headlights seem pretty good, you know. Although the Minichamps looks like there's only two silver headlights. This clearly has 3. So I think this is probably more accurate. It also has that little black printing there that I see on the real car as well. This one doesn't. Wiper blades, yeah, they're both molded in. They're both black and raised, so I'd say that's relatively even. The Minichamps has separate mirrors, which is fine, you know. I would say the Minichamps is more accurate. These are like swept up and they're not sticking out as oval. I have a feeling that's more accurate. It's also interesting, the windscreen. Look how low the windscreen is on this versus this. I would have to guess that Kyosho might actually be more accurate. This is like a speedster windscreen. Alright. So again, now the wheels on this one, although they might be accurate to a real car, they're just not what I envision. This is what I envision. So I can't really compare those two. Now, the Minichamps has the silver going around the side vent, and that is more accurate. And it still has the reflector in there as well. So the side vent, it goes to Minichamps. Let's go with the rear view. Minichamps wins, I think, because it has the silver ring and clear red be in it. So give it up to these guys. There's also printing here, which is a nice touch, although I don't actually see it on the real car. So maybe it's a different year, but more work going on here. But the exhaust tips on the Kyosho are better. These actually have depressions. This is just a, sorry, let me pull this up. I think that's just a flat exhaust tip. Okay? It's chromed, but there's no depth to the middle of them. Alright. This Minichamps just runs slicks, which I don't mind because I don't like to see tread blocks from the side. But you also see the center of the wheels here have printing on them as well, so that's extra work. Alright, interior wise it's going to go Minichamps for sure. It just has the extra paint details. It's interesting. I almost feel like there's different scale cars. I feel like the Kyosho is too big, or the Minichamps is too small. Look at this, the wheelbases aren't the same. So, I'm going to have to pull out the calipers now. Let me pause and come back. So I'm going to do things a little differently this time around. The wheelbase of an Alpha 8C is 2646 millimeters. So I'm going to take 2646, divide that by 64, and that is 41.34 millimeters. So now I'm going to pull my calipers apart to 41.34 and see which one this distance matches better. Okay. Okay, so I locked the caliper in place. It's not moving left or right. That's close enough, 41.33. Let me get some room here. And let's see, try to get this into the center. Oh, look at this. The Kyosho is spot on. These tips are right in the center of those wheels. So it's the Minichamps. It's too small. Look at that. The front is centered, but if you look at the rear tip of this caliper, it's not centered with the axle. So that's interesting because sometimes Kyosho is not 1/64 scale. But today it is, and Minichamps is too small. So looking at these now, I get the tray of comparison again. So this is correct. What's interesting is the coupe. It actually looks a little bit shorter also. But I'm wondering if it's like hitting... Let me put them in the nose down, because maybe the exhaust tips are affecting the length view. No, it still looks shorter. But this is from an earlier Alpha collection. So the latest and greatest casting is the most accurate, I would say. And the most, well, questionable, but the most detailed, because this still does have the nice interior. And it also has reflectors in the mirrors, so that's something Kyoshos don't have. Alright, well, always learning. Always learning. I wasn't expecting to discover this. All I really wanted was an Alpha with the 5-hole wheels. And yet, this is what happens. So let me minimize this thing. Go back to these photos. And there's the side view. So, interesting discovery today. And I would have to say the paint is in relatively good condition. No major paint rashes, no scratches, no gouges, no weird stuff going on. I'm really impressed with the fact that those mirrors are molded in metal and not separate pieces, which is also kind of weird because a lot of Kyoshos nowadays come with separate mirrors. So, anyways, I guess that's it for today. I appreciate you watching, and hopefully I'll get some more Alphas once I track down what else is in this mini car collection number 4. There might be some new castings. So, alright, thanks. I'll see you around.